Hi everyone, this is Haley, or Castle, from CastleAudios, and this is the official first Q&A of the channel, also doubling as the channel's anniversary. It has been officially 1 whole year since I first posted that initial long-distance girlfriend chooses your pet name audio, and in that same time, we have gotten over 5,000 subscribers, which is just insane to say out loud. So regardless, we have a lot to celebrate today. We're going to do the Q&A portion where I answer the questions you guys submitted on my previous audios and community posts, as well as give you guys some updates for the channel going forward in the months to come. Now, I will preface this by saying none of this is scripted. I am solely going off the questions I have on my phone and just going from there. So if I'm not as eloquent as I usually am in my audios, bear with me, we're doing our best here. Okay, so without further ado, I'm not going to waste any of your guys' time, so we're just going to get right into the questions. Now, I will be reading most of these questions as they were asked in the comments, but for this particular one, since so many people asked the same question, we're just going to give a general overview, and that is, who is my favorite character to voice/write for? I'm gonna be honest and say that Abigail is my favorite character to voice. Abby is just such a fun personality, a fun accent. I really enjoy getting to do her audios, especially when she's talking to the open wielder or to Rosie and we get that banter back and forth. She's definitely not a channel favorite. I think currently she is my lowest ranking girl in terms of views, but she does hold a very dear place in my heart since she was one of the first characters I thought of when it came to Glenwood. She didn't really have a plot or a thing, but I always wanted a character named Abigail for the series. And she's really coming into her own, even if she is more of a side character as of right now. But I have really enjoyed how people have engaged with her, and there's no really, in-depth analytical reason why I love her so much. I just think she's really fun and I like her character, and yeah, I think it just plays into this idea that I am a sucker for a character that is just all mouth, no brain cells, which just fits Abby to a T, at least right now. And in particular when we see her again for the Fall Festival Spectacular I have coming up in at the end of October. So be on the lookout for Abby in that. All right. Going on to the follow-up question, who is my favorite character to write for? That's a little harder because I genuinely enjoy writing for all of my characters, in particular the ones that have such active dialogue with their listeners. But in terms of strictly the characters themselves, this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but it's gotta be Rochelle. Ever since her very first audio, it's been not fun. I won't say it's fun, but it has been very interesting, kind of inserting all those red flags here and there. You know, making her kind of overly trustworthy, while just being that ounce of suspicious to make everyone just a little bit more on guard. And seeing all of that culminate now with the big reveal in the most recent upload, which I won't say what happens in case anyone hasn't listened to it yet, but seeing the reaction of everyone just going, I knew it, was very fun for me. So yeah, currently Rochelle is the most fun to write, Abby is the most fun to voice. What is your favorite type of supernatural or supernatural adjacent creature, just from your own preferences, characters aside? I was a hardcore dragon kid when I was growing up. I still am. I had the Dragonology book. That, I wanted the whole collection, but the Dragonology book was my favorite. I thought dragons were so cool, so you can imagine how hyper obsessive I was over the How to Train Your Dragon movies, that series. Yeah, I must have seen that 4 or 5 times in the theater, cried every single time. I have always thought dragons were cool. which might make me incredibly less so now that you know that. But yeah, dragons all the way. And in every iteration, Western, East Asian versions, all the different kinds and the different cultural backgrounds that they're surrounded with, which now you're understanding why I kind of like Abigail more. But yeah, that is definitely my favorite mythical creature. And just a sneak peek, we may be getting a certain dragon-esque character coming up in the series. Maybe not soon, but eventually we will be meeting a new character who's a little on the scaly side. Hi, this is post-editing Castle, just interjecting to inform you that there will be 2 scaly characters coming into Glenwood eventually. I just completely forgot about the second, which is my bad. Carry on. What does Beth look like? Did you think of a design for her, or is it more like whatever the listener thinks she should look like? I've been wondering that a lot, especially since I've thought about drawing her. First of all, please draw her. Please, if anyone wants to draw any of the characters, any of the Glenwood girls, any of the listeners, draw them. Please, draw them, tag me, I want to see them. Because to answer this question, I do not have a set design for what any of the girls look like. When I made the channel and I made the characters, and more specifically when the icons were created, I did not want there to be any preconception of what the characters looked like. In my opinion, it should be up to the listener what every character looks like, because everyone has a different interpretation of what every character, is perceived as. And I want that to be a personal connection between you and the character. So if Beth looks a certain way to you, then that is accurate to you. There is no correct way to interpret what any of them look like. So yeah, if you want to draw them however you perceive them as. I think the coolest thing about the VA community and these audio role plays is seeing how different people interpret the different characters that they enjoy so much. So that is something that I want to preserve on this channel. And kind of leading into that, we have our next question, which is, to you, what does each listener look like? Or do you think they have a specific aesthetic? In the same vein, it is up to the listener. If you want a certain listener to look a certain way, or you believe that they have a certain aesthetic or a certain, vibe about them, then that is purely up for listeners' interpretation. And it's something that I also really like to see, because I want to know what you guys think of when you create these self-insert characters for these specific plot lines. I think it's really fascinating. So, yeah. Will Beautiful ever put Beth through meeting their parents or someone they deem as a parental figure to apply to all? Yes. Not specifically the actual, event of meeting the family, but there will definitely be a video in the future of Beth and Beautiful kind of preparing for that, and Beth spiraling herself into a panic. And Beautiful will enjoy every second of it, because that is what they had to endure when they met Simon for the first time, so it'll be sweet revenge for that audio. What are your inspirations for Glenwood and the different magical races that live within it? So Glenwood is named off of a diner that I used to go to when I was a kid growing up. And it was a very stylized, 1950s, old-timey, family-run diner. Had a little ice cream shop attached to it. I loved it growing up, and it always stuck with me. I just loved the aesthetic of just small-town community. And I wanted Glenwood to kind of have that same feel of this small, close community that served as more of a haven for magic users and non-magic users. In terms of the magical races that live within Glenwood, I wanted to start out basic, your typical werewolves, vampires, general magic users. things that the YouTube algorithm kind of recognized and wouldn't just steamroll me over with the masses. And then once I got that foundation of characters, I could branch out into more niche ideas like the blood mages. And going forward, I do plan on including different magical races, but for now I am very happy with the girls that I've got. This one's more personal. Favorite books or fantasy series? I'm gonna be honest, I had a lot of trouble reading as a kid. I could not focus enough on full books growing up, so it was very difficult for me to get into, fantasy series. I think I only got into Harry Potter because of the movies, because I couldn't get my little brain to focus on reading the books from start to finish. As I've gotten older, however, I have been trying to rekindle my love for stories and books and reading now that I'm able to kind of regulate my focus. So, Song of Achilles, I sobbed like a baby, but I highly recommend it. And currently, I am trying to reread the Percy Jackson series because I want to, have the books in mind when the new series comes out on Disney+. So, not the best answer. I wish I could give more, in-depth recommendations. I will say, CW is a book fiend, so I will be more than happy to ask for her book recommendations going forward. One that she definitely recommends that she has been hounding me to read is the, oh god. Oh no, she's gonna be so mad at me. The House on the Cerulean Sea. I think that's the title. I think it is. I might be off by like a word or two, but that is definitely a book that comes highly recommended if you are looking for any kind of, found family, just like feel good book. And speaking of CW, this next question is directly for her. What is your favorite lore secret that you can't tell us outright, but you can tease in the vaguest, most entertaining way possible? I'm very glad you're going to her for this, because I would lie. She actually sent me her response as a text, so I'm going to read it out to you, and then I will try to, subvert anything that she tells you. All right, to quote the channel's visual artist herself, "Get ready for some lore, dear listeners." Oh god, I can't do that. I can't do that. She's gonna kill me. Okay. So, some things that I can say is that a listener for Celine is in the works. I'm just as excited as you are. Although Celine is the oldest in Glenwood, she's not the most powerful. It was my idea to make the Ranger and Claire have more enemies to lovers tension. Okay, actually, yeah, that was true. At first, I was going to have their second video be them making up and being mature about it, and as soon as I brought it up, she went, "No, we need tension. We need banter." And now we have this, which I'm personally having a lot of fun with, so thank you. Going back to the quote. A good question. Ooh. Oh, you little snicket. A good question to think about is, why is Claire the alpha when she's so young? Another one, why would Glenwood's magic allow Abigail in? I've had to redirect Castle many of times to let characters live. I love you, honey, but you have a murderous side. That is not true. All but one has made it. It may have been my idea to kill this one, though. Yeah, okay. She's coming in here talking about, oh, I saved all these characters from being murdered by Castle. She is the person who suggested the one character who actually gets killed off. I am not the villain here. But regardless, all of the videos and characters interconnect, so if you want lore, you gotta watch it all. Castle likes to include details that will show up later. Insert Mousecatool meme here. Thank you for being so sweet to ask me a question too. I know this is Castle's channel and I'm just her logo maker and soundboard for ideas. and girlfriend. But y'all have been incredibly kind to me, and I'd love to talk to y'all more if you'll have me. I love to answer questions if you ask, so don't be shy. End quote. She is not just the logo maker. She is the poor soul who has to endure all of my terrible ideas before they are polished into something that is actually, serviceable for the channel. She is the backbone of CastleAudios. So if you love anything about this channel, if you enjoy the content, thanks CW. She is the heart of it all. But enough with the mushy stuff. We have more questions to answer, and we are already far too long into this video. So, my question is, if you wanted to be one of your characters in your stories, who would it be and why? That is such a good question and so hard to answer for reasons I can't explain yet. Boy, that is a toughie. I think the open wielder from Rose and Abigail's storylines. Just to have an overall affinity for magic, to be able to work at a library where I can just spend the entire time talking to my friend about cryptids, that sounds like a blast to me and something that I would definitely feel very comfortable in. So yeah, if anyone, I would be Deer or the open wielder from that series. I was wondering, how did you decide to start making videos and what kind of setup were you working with? I really want to make YouTube videos telling stories, but starting up seems scary. First of all, thank you for your kind words. I was in the exact same position a year and a half ago, and it took me a very long time to kind of pull together the courage to start the channel and actually, make an audio. And it is such a cliche, but it's very true. The hardest part is just starting. Posting that first audio is going to be the scariest and hardest thing you do, and then everything else will be just fine. I have actually moved several times in the last year, but I still have that same setup from when I first started a year ago. And it's with my little Blue Yeti mic, using Audacity to record and edit the audios, and then using Canva to create the thumbnails and the visuals. I was using Adobe After Effects for the videos, and I have now switched to using Veed.io for the wave spectrum and all that to actually put together the video and make the MP4 format. But as of right now, I have a little, metal shelf that I got off of Amazon for $20. And I have a crap ton of blankets that I have haphazardly thumbtacked into the wall and wrapped around the shelves in the closet that I record in. So I'm still recording out of a cramped little closet. All of my clothes are scrunched to the one side so I can use half of it for a recording space. It is a budget job if I've ever seen one, but it has worked so far for the past year. I am hoping to someday upgrade my microphone to something a little more, professional. But for now, this is working for me and I'm happy with it. So if you are wanting to start a channel for audio roleplays or anything on YouTube, all you need is something to record on and a quiet space. That's all you need. The rest will come as you learn and as you continue posting videos. So that is the best advice that I can give as someone who still does not know what the fuck they're doing. So if that's helpful, great. If not, I did my best. Okay, moving on. I really like this question. Do you have a favorite relationship trope that you prefer to read/write? And are there any tropes that you hope to write about in the future? So a personal favorite of mine is the enemies to lovers in any iteration that it comes in. I love the dynamic. I love the banter. I love that the people, when done right, see the worst in each other and through that have to find the best in one another together. So yeah, that is my favorite trope to read about and write and to experience in this community. So I am a sucker for that trope. And a trope that I hope to use in the future is the idea of the fated pair. two characters who balance each other out, and even if they are separated for years at a time, will always find their way back to one another, no matter what. And that makes me a little sappy, but it is a trope that is very close to my heart and something I would love to incorporate in the series at some point down the line. Also, just anything that kind of falls into the realm of the you came, you called dynamic, which is just, it's a gut punch every time, and I love it. I will never get tired of that shit. Did you have a lot of these characters or stories already bouncing around in your head before you started making audios, or have you come up with most of them more recently? For a lot of the characters in Glenwood, I have had these characters for years. In particular, I have had Beth and Claire as characters that I've had in my head for years, and I've had characters that we haven't met yet, but they have been, part of my creative psyche for a very long time. And I just never had any kind of outlet to explore them or share them with the world, which now I do. But that being said, while most of my characters have been around for a long time, there are also many characters who just kind of popped up randomly as I needed them. In particular, Chloe was a completely random character that just kind of popped up out of the blue one day. I had no intention of making her a character. I had no intention of her being included in the Glenwood series. Her mentioning Rosie and other elementals and magic users in her audio was totally off the cuff while recording. Did not intend for that to happen. It just sort of worked out the way that it did. And while she wasn't planned, I am very happy to have her as a character. I think she's just really fun and flirty and someone that I'm definitely going to be bringing back in the future because so many people just seem to really like her. Chloe was random, and Celine was also kind of a not-so-established character. When I started kind of conceptualizing Glenwood for the channel and deciding, okay, what audios are going to go to what characters, what plot lines are going to be, developed further than others, Celine just kind of popped up at random. It was like, I have her, don't really know what to do with her, but she's not really that important yet. And then we decided she's going to be very important at midway through making Glenwood. But yeah, so far, the characters we've seen, it's been kind of 50-50 on who was created right before the channel started and who's been here for years beforehand. And then we have Chloe, who got materialized at 3 a.m. Will we get another superhero video? I did not realize people wanted more of that. I'm going to be very honest. I lost steam writing for that series after the second video. I love it. I'm very happy with it. But I have no idea where to take it from there, and I have no motivation to continue it. But if people want to see it again, and people want more of the superhero series, I will do my best to, bring it back to life. So we might get another superhero video, we might not. Speaking of asking for other videos, this has been brought up, not for the Q&A, but just in my comments section very recently in the last couple weeks. A lot of people have been asking for a second part of the Sorceress Queen series, which threw me off guard because that is one of my lowest viewed videos. Whenever it came out, it did so poorly. I almost privated it. So I did not think that other people would want a continuation of it. But if people do, and, let me know in the comments, do you want more of the sorceress? Do you want more of the superhero? I'll be more than happy to accommodate if people actually want to see it. But at the time, it did so poorly in terms of views and engagement. It was like, well, maybe we'll just stick to the other magic. Long story short, there are no plans for the future, but there certainly can be if, people demand it. What's your favorite holiday if you celebrate any? My favorite holiday has always been, probably always will be, Halloween. I am a Halloween girly. I love the aesthetic. I love the costumes. I love the vibe of it. I think Halloween is the most fun holiday throughout the entire year. which is kind of sad because I am absolutely petrified of horror movies. I can't do horror, I can't do gore, I can't do haunted houses. I am a wimp, but I love Halloween, so I suffer through it simply for all the ghosts and pumpkins and such. So yeah, Halloween is my go-to, which is why I'm so excited for October this year and why we've got so much coming up in the coming weeks. Who is your favorite storyline to write for? Currently, my favorite storyline to write for is the pack. So Beth, Claire, with the seer and the ranger, like that whole storyline, that's currently my personal favorite. However, my all-time favorite storyline that I am writing has not been put on the channel yet. So the one that I am most excited for has not come about. We don't know anything about this one yet. I haven't posted anything about it. We don't even know the characters for it yet. But that is my personal favorite. But currently, my favorite storyline is kind of Beth's and Claire's, which we'll be getting more of in the next 2 weeks because we have Claire's audio coming up and Beth's audio coming up. What fantastical creature do you think you could defeat? Okay, I see you paying attention. I know what audios you listen to. If I could defeat any magical creature, my brain immediately goes telepath, because if they just peeked even for a second into my head, they would just go running in the opposite direction. So that would be a very easy win for me. But in terms of creature, I think the Ophiuchus from Greek mythology. I'm not going to give any further explanation. That's just the first one that comes to mind. But yeah, that one I would fight. I would win. I'd feel bad about it. What kind of magic user do you think you'd be? And what kind of magic user would you want to be? Ooh. I think I would either be an earth elemental or a bear shifter. But if I could choose what I wanted to be, I want to say werewolf. I want to be a basic ass bitch and say I'm going to be a werewolf. But I'm also way too nosy and I need to know what other people are thinking at all times. So telepath, probably. Telepath. What's your favorite YouTuber? I have multiple answers for this because I'm the kind of person, like, once I get hooked onto a channel, I will just binge that channel and exclusively that channel. There was a solid month and a half where I only watched Jurassic Park lore breakdown videos. So, yeah, if you want to know anything about me, I love Jurassic Park, and I know far too much about it now. But in the past year, I have listened to exclusively Mr. Markiplier himself, Good Mythical Morning, biographics. Tidbit about me. I love history. I love learning about great figures, great events in history. I love the documentary style history YouTube channels and biographics. If I could inject that shit, I would. So yeah, biographics is one of my favorite channels of all time, as well as like all the subsequent channels that are attached to it. What else? In terms of ASMR, like to relax, Goodnight Moon is a fantastic ASMR channel, like cinema quality work. She does amazing, amazing stuff, both with her characters, with her content, the ASMR, just the tingles in general. Can't recommend her enough. As well as Angelica. If you want unhinged, absolute batshit content every single day, please check out Angelica. She's wonderful, absolutely hysterical. I can't get enough of her. Yeah. So those are my YouTube recommendations that I have been listening to this past year. Is there anything you do to help you voice or write your characters? Like, do you have music playlists or something to help you get in the mindset? I do not have playlists for my characters. I wish I did. I have a lot of respect and admiration for people who can go through Spotify and put together hours long playlists for characters and shows. That shit's very impressive to me. When I am writing my characters, however, this is going to sound absolutely unhinged. I will talk to myself in the different character voices. I will have characters who have nothing to do with each other interact. I will have Abby talk to Rochelle, talk to Beth, talk to Claire, just so I can work on differentiating the voices, the tones, the way that they speak, the accents. Because just having that comparison back and forth really helps me solidify, okay, if Claire is lower in the chest, deeper, more in the throat, then Beth is going to be higher, more nasal, more pushed. And being able to have that direct comparison is what gets me into the mindset of, being able to then voice the character and write for the character. Because as I write the scripts, which I didn't want to admit this, most of the audios up until very recently have all been improvs. I knew what the scene was going to be. I knew I had bullet points, I had plot lines that I was going to hit, I had certain lines that I had written down in my notes app, but I had no clear script from start to finish until we got to that first pack interaction where I had to have Claire and Beth talking to each other and I had to have a script for the editing purposes. Now though, as I'm writing the scripts, I will speak the scripts out loud as I'm writing just to make sure okay, this definitely sounds like Beth would say it. This sounds like Rochelle would say it. Because I'm always trying to keep in mind yes, this sounds like the character, but also has to sound like a real person is talking. A pet peeve of mine for a lot of ASMR is when people will talk, but they'll talk like they're in a novel and not just having a conversation, and that'll just take me out of it so quickly. But, so yeah, that's kind of how I get into the mindset and write for each of the characters, if that makes sense. I might just be crazy. Who knows? Where are we from? I don't think it's to anyone's surprise. CW and I are both from the United States. We are from the East Coast Southern region. That's about as specific as I'm gonna make it right now, personally. Yeah. How long does it typically take to develop a script and then record it? So for me, as I mentioned before, I have a lot of focus issues. It takes me a very long time to sit down and actually write out a script. It might take me up to a couple hours to write down a script, and then once I'm actually in my little recording booth and I'm getting it done, certain scripts take me 30 to 45 minutes to record, and then editing takes, a good hour and a half, depending on how long the audio is and how complicated it is. I think Beth's last audio took me maybe 30 minutes to edit, but then Genevieve and Celine's audio together took me a good 3.5 hours, just all of the splicing and adjusting for the lines. Personally, I definitely need to be better about setting time aside and just sitting down and writing scripts and not getting distracted by, TikTok or emails or just listening to music and then only listening to the music and not actually writing the scripts. But that is something I'm trying to work on so that pushing out content will be more of a consistent process, and I will hopefully be able to put out more content in the future. But yeah, right now my process is all over the goddamn place, which it is my own fault, but we're making it work regardless. Do your characters have favorite colors? They do, actually. CW and I, a while back, actually made color palettes for a majority of the girls. I think Beth, Claire, Celine, an unknown character we haven't met yet. God, I don't know where those are. They're somewhere in my camera roll. I know it. I can't think of what they are specifically off the top of my head, but that is something that I would actually be very excited to post on the community tab and, share with you guys eventually. I know that Beth is definitely more of like a warm tone, like reddish orange kind of girl, whereas Claire is more cool toned, more like a softer teal, whereas Celine is like an emerald evergreen kind of favorite color. Oh god, that didn't make any sense. That was a terrible sentence. Forget I said that. I'm not going to edit it out. But yeah, those are kind of a gist of the favorite colors, but I will post the color palettes eventually on the channel. I wonder, how often is the ranger gonna pop up with Claire? Also, for clarification, is the ranger just a regular old plain Jane human? First of all, the ranger and Claire are definitely going to have more interactions going forward. I believe Claire's next audio is coming up in a couple days, which she's going to be with the ranger. And we will definitely have more plot going on with the two of them being kind of forced to work together and all the banter that follows suit. In terms of the ranger themselves, the ranger is definitely, they're just a regular human, no magic, they don't know about magic, they're just trying to do their best at their job to protect their town and the forest around it, and dealing with this ragtag group of werewolves that just moved in next door. So I hope that clarified some stuff, and I hope you are looking forward to more Claire Ranger content. I'm really enjoying the dynamic, so we're definitely going to get more of it soon. When did you start this channel? Also, I think you can put your audios on Spotify. Technically, I created the channel on October 17th, 2020, in like peak pandemic. I didn't post anything on the channel, however, until October 13th, 2021. So I waited an entire year since, making the channel to actually do anything with it, which is just, how it goes. So yeah, this is technically the channel's 2-year anniversary, but considering that this channel literally lay dormant without a single thing done to it for almost 11 months, I'm considering this the 1st-year anniversary since actually posting any content. As for Spotify, I did not know you could upload audios to Spotify. At least, I know very little about Spotify. I use it on the most basest level. So if I can put it on Spotify, hey, maybe, who knows? I would definitely need to go back and polish a lot of the early videos, including ones that I recently posted. I still need to edit the last Rochelle video because there's a double line in there that annoys the shit out of me. But yeah, I might consider it in the future. I have no idea. Never really considered Spotify as an option for me. How do you keep everything in check for each of the different storylines? Short answer, I have no fucking idea. It is a clusterfuck in this little pea brain of mine. But, oh god. The more long-winded answer is, as stated before, a lot of the plot lines and stories interconnect at some point down the line. So a lot of ways that I kind of keep track of, where each plot is going and how to time stuff out is I keep in mind of okay, so these characters are going to interact at this point, so this can't happen until after that, but this has to happen before that, kind of the red string conspiracy board. When I was living in my old apartment, I actually had a bunch of sticky notes on my wall that had a timeline of when things were to happen. Now, obviously, that was months ago and things have changed since then. But yeah, so a lot of it kind of happens on one singular timeline. I just have to keep track of general plot points and how characters interact between those plot points, if that makes any sense. Do you like listening to other artists' audio roleplays? If you do, what are your favorite tropes? That is 100% yes. I love listening to other artists' audio dramas, their roleplays, ASMRs, all that stuff. My favorite tropes are the classic, the enemies to lovers, the reverse comfort. If something has reverse comfort in the title or the tags, I am clicking it without hesitation. I love that stuff. I can't handle being taken care of, but if I'm taking care of another person, that's gold to me. And I like when there is an overarching narrative to the audio role plays. Some of my favorite artists that I listen to actively right now are Whispering Wisteria, Redacted Audios, Good Boy Audios. That kind of storytelling is what really hits home for me and something that I still really enjoy listening to, even as I'm a content creator myself. But yeah, so enemies to lovers, reverse comfort, anything to do with magic or high fantasy or sci-fi, I'm there all the way. And now the big question that I've been holding off to the very end of the Q&A, what made me want to start this channel and use audio roleplays as the medium to tell my stories? So when I was a kid, I always had these grand adventures growing up. At recess, I would be like running into battle. It was the stereotypical like hyperactive imagination, always with the imaginary friends, with the envisioning worlds around me as I was walking through the halls in my elementary school, middle school, high school. Of course, it tapered out, and when I got into high school, I wanted to write. I wanted to write these stories. I thought of these characters, these plot lines, all this stuff in my head. I wanted to put it on paper and make a book series and sell it and make millions. And that didn't happen because, as I said earlier, I have a horrible, horrible, horrible attention span. So I would have all these stories and I would sit down and I'd try to write them. I would never be able to actually get them on paper. But because I had the intention of putting them on paper and I sat down and I tried, my brain would be like, oh, we tried, we did it, good, forget it. So I would have all these plot lines that would just kind of go in and out of my head and they would fade, some would come back, some wouldn't. And when I would try to write, I realized I have a much stronger affinity to dialogue rather than prose. I did enjoy reading, but I would always search for the dialogue. I would look for the characters talking, and I would just skim through the paragraphs of descriptions and things like that. I didn't need the internal monologue. I wanted the actual active dialogue between characters to see how they interact with each other. That's what I was focused on. And as I would write these scenes, because that's all I could ever, bring myself to get down on paper were just like these snippets of scenes, I could only write the dialogue. I could write, minuscule descriptors of settings and, the internal struggles between characters, but the dialogue is what I always wrote first. And that was true for a lot of stuff that I did. I actually took a creative writing class in my, junior year of high school. And we had to do a lot of prose. We weren't allowed to write dialogue for a lot of the projects. And at one point, my teacher, very kind man, I have nothing against him, but at one point in the final project, it sounds so sad when I say it out loud, but like he pulled me to the side and he was like, I think you have a really great passion for this. You have an eye for storytelling. You have such an affinity for the human connections and human interactions. Not so much for the narrative portion. You're really good at dialogue, though. He said it much kinder, but essentially he was like, yeah, you're good at the talking part, not so much the everything else. Unfortunately, around senior year and into college, my mental health hit a low, and I was not in a very good place. I couldn't bring myself to write anymore. My thought process was, if I can't even write the characters, why bother thinking about them at all? And so they kind of just fell to the wayside. A lot of characters got lost. I know I had these original characters, I had these plots, I had these ideas, but they just kind of faded into the background. And maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. They serve their purpose at the time, but in college, because I was having such a struggle with my mental health, I could not sleep for the life of me. And someone suggested I listen to ASMR, and that was, the typical, like, the tingles, like the tapping on the microphone, the crinkling, the paper, the writing on paper. And that helped a lot. And I remember vividly the very first ASMR role play that I listened to was Karuna Satori, and she did a tattoo shop ASMR role play. And that got me hooked. I was obsessed with the ASMR role plays, the cranial nerve exams, the chiropractors, the doctors, tattoo shops, the florists, all that stuff, all the different role plays. I loved it. And then, by some miracle of the YouTube recommendations, I clicked on a audio role play instead. It was labeled ASMR. I clicked on it and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't ASMR. They're just talking. Holy shit, they're just talking. And that was a turning point for me, because all of a sudden it was like there was no prose. There was no narrative. There was no writing. It was just dialogue, interacting and engaging with characters and talking and experiencing these scenarios. And I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted. This is everything that I wanted. And of course, it was like the very generic, like, oh, your tsundere bully pins you against the lockers. It was the, like, oh, your best friend's a vampire. It was the childhood friend confesses to you, shy boy, does whatever. All the standard tropes. And eventually, things kind of settled down in terms of the wonderment, because once you hear one trope, every video that has the same just kind of, blends together. But a few years ago, I discovered the audio drama portion of the ASMR VA community. And that is the audio role plays that have an overarching narrative, that have action with characters interacting, the collaboration of VAs, pulling people into these plots, these adventures. And I remember like sitting on my bed, it was like, God, 4 a.m, and I listened to an entire playlist, like sitting up, gripping my blankets, just like listening so intently. And I was just like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to make this. This is what I need. And I had no idea where to start. I had no idea how. I was so intimidated because, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. These people have, like, these XLR NC 900 microphones and these huge, like, $5,000 monitors and softwares. And I was like, I have nowhere to start. I don't know what to do. I have no one to talk to about this. No one I know about deals with this. And God knows I am not going to reach out to a VA out of the blue and be like, hey, help me. So I just kept listening. I would find other ASMR artists. Like I said, CastleAudios was a huge influence in kind of giving me the courage to start my own channel, because I wanted to do that. I wanted to have the multiple characters interconnecting in the plot. I wanted to have this story where you got to be multiple people interacting with the different characters. You could do something. It wasn't just rambling on in the background. You were an active engager in the plot. So I really do have him to thank for inspiring me to sit down and be like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm committing. These are my characters. This is my plot. This is what I'm working with. Everything else will follow suit after. I had already made the channel back in 2020, a year ago. I had made it just on a whim. I had no idea what to do with it. I had no intention of using it. I just wanted to make it, to have it. But I had the channel, so I used it. I started looking through other ASMR videos, because I had no idea where to start. Even if I was like, okay, I'm committing, I had no idea what to commit to. Right now, as I'm recording this Q&A, I'm looking at my screen. I am recording this on Audacity with my microphone. I had none of this when I first started. But I bought a mic for sale on Amazon. I started looking through the descriptions of other ASMR videos, and I found a lot of them were saying like, hey, this is a script by so-and-so on r/ASMR Script Haven on Reddit. Decided to give that a look, scrolled through a lot of very interesting scripts, and eventually I found Long Distance Girlfriend Chooses Your Pet Name. And I was like, okay, I know this. I can relate to this. I can do this. Got my mic to come in, I set it up, I recorded it, and I looked up about 50 YouTube tutorials on how to clean up audios and how to do the telephone effect, how to upload to YouTube, because I had no idea how to do that either. All the while, CW is being the incredible support system that she is the entire process through. And I posted it for the first time. It got maybe 100 views in the first month, and I thought that was so cool that 100 people looked at my little video that I had no idea what I was doing. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. Let's do this. I still wasn't committed to posting anything for Glenwood yet, even though I had a whole plot ready. I had Beth, Claire, Celine. They were all like in my head ready to go. But I didn't want those characters to act as my learning curve. Like, I didn't know how to get sound effects. I didn't know how to edit them into Audacity and anything like that. So I decided to just keep doing script fills. Most of them being from Lupin Stole My Heart on Reddit, who is a wonderful script writer. You should follow her on Reddit and on Twitter. Wonderful, wonderful person. Please support her. And I found her Bodyguard series, her You Are My Sunshine series, and I was like, okay, this is a small 8-part series. If I can hold myself accountable, and if I can do this series, if I can finish it, do all 8 episodes, if I can do it, I'm ready to start posting Glenwood. Like, if I can hold myself and be committed to this and not, forget about it, not let my focus issues take this away from me. If I can finish it, I can do Glenwood. I will use this. I will learn how to edit. I will learn how to add sound effects. I will learn how to do all this. I will learn how to talk to other VAs to do collaborations, because God knows I am terrified to talk to other VAs in this community. I still feel like the little elementary school kid on the side of the playground looking up at the middle schoolers like, oh my God, it's the big kids. I can't talk to them. They're so cool. When I know we're all just a bunch of nerds. However, I am still in that mindset of I'm just a little baby VA. There is no way on God's green earth I'm going to bother another VA with my itty bitty little channel. I'm working on getting over that, but for the time being, I used the script fills to learn and focus on developing my skills for the channel so that when I posted Beth for the first time, way back when, all those months ago, I wouldn't be such a fish out of water, so to speak. And this is a very long explanation for the channel, but it's the honest truth. This is how CastleAudios started, and it was me being depressed. God, that sounds awful, but it's true. Yeah, listen, I told you guys, this is not going to be eloquent. The fact, this is 55 minutes where I'm sitting right now looking at my screen. 55 minutes. If you've listened all the way through this, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? If you've listened to this, you get a sneak peek to whatever's coming next in the series. We're getting a character named Onwin sometime soon in the series. So look forward to her. I'm not saying anything else, but you guys will know who Onwin is when nobody else has any idea what you're talking about. So, hey, good for you. Back on topic. See, attention. Yeah. I find a great deal of comfort in voice acting, in being able to make these stories and put these characters out into the world for other people to experience and enjoy and engage with. This is the most engaging form of media I have ever ever had the opportunity to be a part of. And I'm a theater kid. I did musicals growing up, so I was like all for the improv, the engaging with the audience. This is like that for me. This is being able to engage and interact with my audience in a way that I never expected to be able to ever in my life. And I'm still learning. All this to say, I am still learning new things. I'm still trying to grow as a VA, as a person, and using this channel to get to know all of you guys and get to, branch out and try new things. And it's all just really, really cool to me. And this channel and this community mean a lot to me, more than I can probably say without getting emotional. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that here. We are going to be dumb, happy-go-lucky, fun. We're not getting sad. Not for the first Q&A. But yeah, hopefully that answers your questions of why did I decide to start ASMR. I don't know. I like voice acting. It's something that I really enjoy. I like it a lot. It's engaging. It's something that I'm actually able to focus on and put my heart and soul into, and actually have a timely engagement with the people who also enjoy it, which is incredible to me. That is the culmination of CastleAudios as it is right now. Now, to close off this Q&A, we do have one more question that is something I wanted to bring up, and that is, what are the future plans for CastleAudios, the channel? As of right now, as many of you know if you follow me on Twitter or if you check the community posts, I started a new job in September. I'm still kind of settling in, and as with the new job, I have a very inconsistent schedule, so recording is very hit or miss whenever I can. That being said, I will not be at this job forever. It is a temporary position, so in 2023, I will have much more availability for recording and engaging with you guys as my audience and as my listeners. With that in mind, in 2023, I have been debating opening up a Discord server for CastleAudios for you guys to join in, where I can directly engage with you guys. In the server, I'd be able to give you guys sneak peeks to future audios, give you guys a place to interact with each other, share your headcanons, your theories. I love listening to your theories about Glenwood and its characters. I think that is so cool. I've always been very intimidated by Discord, but with the right support, I think I would really love to open that up to you guys and have kind of our own little community there. So again, that is something that is a few months out, but I do have a Discord if you've seen my TikTok, which if you don't follow me on TikTok, you should follow me on TikTok, because I am going to start posting a lot more on there, especially doing live readings and reactions to some of your comments, because you guys leave some out-of-pocket comments sometimes, and they deserve to be acknowledged more than just the little heart button at the corner of your comment section. So yeah, Discord is in the works, and this is something I wanted to kind of put out to you guys for the future. What are your thoughts on a CastleAudios Patreon? Now, I am very nervous about starting a Patreon, one, because I don't think my content is, good enough for anyone to pay for it right now. But if that's something that you guys want to see for the channel, then I'd love to know what you guys actually want from the Patreon, whether that's day early access, if that's sneak peeks, if that's more of the gag reels and the behind the scenes action, or I've seen some VAs do like their full audio archive list just on Patreon right there as like downloadable audios, which I would love to do that as well. Or, that one other reason that some people join Patreon. I mean, barely, like, no one actually joins Patreon for this one particular totally wholesome thing that some VAs tend to do. Not sure if YouTube will let me live that down, but we're gonna leave it at that. Might get away with that more on Twitter. But, yeah. Getting all flustered. Patreon is an option in the future, as well as the Discord in the future, if you guys would like to see that, if you guys want that for the channel and our little 5K community, although now it's closer to like 5,200, which is, oh boy. Either way, that is what I've got planned for the future of the channel. Things might develop as the weeks and months go by. In the meantime, what I definitely have planned for this month, we are including the CastleAudios audiobook readings to the channel now. Hopefully this week we will be getting the first 5 chapters of Carmilla as our little spooky introduction to Halloween and as the audiobook series kicks off. I really hope you guys like it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be something nice and relaxing you can just zone out to. I'm really excited to try it. So, yeah. I just realized this is an hour-long audio. This is an hour-long audio. If you have survived an hour of listening to me talk at whatever god-awful hour you listen to ASMR, I am so sorry. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here for the Q&A. And again, thank you so much for your support of me, of this channel, of this, I don't know, little community we got going on. It truly means the world to me, and I'm incredibly lucky to have this opportunity to share my stories with you guys in this way. God, I don't know how to end this in a way that's like professional and not just me just being like, I love you all. But I guess all I can say is thank you. I hope you guys enjoy what's coming up on the channel, and I hope you guys stick around. So here's to another 5K, another year, and hopefully another Q&A soon. All right. Thank you for listening. Castle out. Oh God, we're not doing that. We're not including that. Have a good one.